I want to do the debate. Oh, here it is. Okay. I want to watch the debate. It's 14 minutes long between Samuel Sedar and Ryan Grimm, two people that I love, two people that I admire, and I hate to see them fight like this.
Out today on special assignment. Want to welcome back to the program Ryan Grimm, journalist, co-host of Breaking Points, co-founder of Dropsite News, who was just in mid-tweet when we brought him on, confirming that he knew people who bought oysters from Graham Plattner.
Take that, New York Times.
Yeah. A lot of important stuff going on over there. Is there a question as to whether Plattner was actually like an oysterman, or was like some question like, was he doing lobsters, or this guy's, he's dragging soft shell clams in? What's going on?
There's some effort to call into question whether or not he's actually an oysterman, or whether he's just kind of playing games at one. It's ironic there, now that Abdul El-Sayed and Plattner, he's leading, Plattner's winning. They're taking El-Sayed down a few pegs, and they're trying to push Plattner up a few pegs. They're like, this guy's not as elite as he says. He wasn't actually a physician. This guy Plattner, he's more elite than he says. He went to this private high school. So maybe they're just going to meet in the middle, and they're just then average guys eat.
They really get into the controversy at this point.
This is what people, why people are tuning in, and so for my radio instincts are like, you backload this. We would have held people over the commercial break many times. So you tweeted out. Can we find that tweet? We should have probably pulled this. You tweeted out. There's obviously like this happens over and over again. It seems like there's like waves of in which ways that AOC is attacked. I'm not saying you were attacking AOC, but in that waves of attacks. And here it is. Ryan Grimm, here it is. This is what you tweeted out. What was the date on this? May 8th or something. Okay, so this is in response to AOC saying that she doesn't personally trust Marjorie Taylor Greene, thinks he's sort of a Johnny-come-lately. She was at an event where they asked her about making transpartisan coalitions.
You know what's really funny about this? A lot of people are angry at AOC for doing something that they do sometimes to AOC. Everybody picks and chooses who is a better ally on this cause. A lot of the people that are doing this, like a lot of people are mad at AOC for saying like, I don't really trust Marjorie Taylor Greene. I've seen what she said. I've seen what she's done. I don't think she's being sincere. And it's ironic because the people that are saying, how dare you say that about Marjorie Taylor Greene, are the exact same people who are skeptical of AOC. They're like, oh, you're Johnny come lately. AOCIA and Flopsite News in one stream. Sarcasm. Okay.
And she's talking about legislation. She's paired up with she's done this many times, maybe more than most in Congress, with Republicans to push legislation. She said, I wouldn't do this with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And you swooped in. You wrote, MTG sacrificed her political career to stand against genocide, against Trump, against the Epstein class, and to defend the survivors of Epstein's trafficking. If that doesn't earn credibility, I don't know what possibly could. Okay. What the? I mean, come on.
Why don't we also read what I didn't say there? There are a lot of things I didn't say that people ascribe to that.
Well, let me say this. I disagree with the second word in that, sacrificed. Because if you'll recall that her one piece of legislation that she promoted, this amendment to a defense bill, which AOC voted against the entire bill, we should say, came immediately after she was rejected by Donald Trump to run for Senate and for governor in Georgia. He said, no, Marjorie. This is also after she was basically kept from House leadership. So she's got her millions of dollars that she has done by insider trading in the House. Not illegal, but arguably unethical. And she decides she doesn't want to be in Congress anymore, so much so that she's going to resign in 5 months from that time. It was mid-July where she got the axe on the
Like, real beast mode would be to not resign from Congress, run for re-election, pull a Thomas Massie. I'm saying I have a lot more respect for Thomas Massie than I do for Marjorie Taylor Greene. You've probably heard me talk about Thomas Massie quite a bit on this broadcast. Why do I have a different opinion on Thomas Massie, who, by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe, is like now pushing for Thomas Massie as well? Great. Now, why do I have a lot more respect for Thomas Massie than I do for Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because Thomas Massie has some stakes here. That's it. And as far as political preferences goes, of course, I prefer AOC over Thomas Massie and certainly over Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And that's when she also introduced the legislation. So she didn't really sacrifice her political career. She took the only path that was available to her, which is, I'm going to leave Maybe she'll come back someday, but she had nowhere else to go.
No, there's another path. The path is continuing to be in the House. Lots of people have tried to get Trump's endorsement to run statewide for something, not gotten it, and they keep it moving. Like she didn't have to go after him. No, you don't have to quit. She could.
Oh, she was pissed. She was spurned. I mean, look, she didn't have to do that, but we've seen her impulse control. We played the video of her peering through AOC's letter slot, maybe drunk, maybe not. I'm not sure which is a better explanation. Sandy, like we have seen impulse control is not necessarily her thing. And I don't know,
by the way, I said separately that I fully understand why AOC personally has a grudge that she's not going to let up.
Oh, sure. This is a funny conversation because like Ryan Grimm likes AOC. Ryan Grimm has written extensively about AOC. Ryan Grimm has also written extensively about the Squad. One of the books that he's written is about that, right?
MTG has not apologized for that. MTG has targeted her personally, like creepily at her door, online constantly, on the floor, like acting like.
No, he doesn't. You're telling me Ryan Grimm doesn't like AOC.
A weird bully, like.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm actually, I want to stay on the, like, yes, I think she has every reason to personally be like, F this person. But if she meant what she was doing, if MTG's agenda, and look, I am happy to have her saying these things that I agree with, and I think they are marginally helpful. Okay. I'm not sure who her constituency is for this, but I do think they're marginally helpful in the same way that, like, the Washington Wizards are helpful to the Globetrotters. Mm-hmm. Like, it's good to have, our version of Alan, what was that guy's name on?
Alan Combs.
Combs, yeah.
Yeah.
Hannity and Combs.
I mean, it's good to have.
God, I'm such a loser. This is why I'm a chud-ass loser, chat. I have no interests, okay? This is my life. This is all I care about.
Have apostates, right? Like, I'm happy that Bill Kristol is, is out there, and Jen Rubin, and all of the, all of those never Trumpers. And she is basically a never Trumper, except for she could have stayed in Congress for another year and had a material impact on votes. And she decided not to do that. And my question is, like, how can you say that she sacrificed her political career to stand up against genocide, et cetera, when her career, I think in her mind, was over, at least that career play, stay in the House, do something, because I think she felt like she had to pivot. And the only way that she could do that, she could have done it in the House. She could have been voting with Massey. She could have been, co-sponsoring things with Ro Khanna. She could have been doing all of those things, but instead she just pulled a, what's her face from Sarah Palin.
She should have stayed in the House, and she would have earned more credibility if she'd have done that. And I think she loses credibility by leaving the House. I think that's true. She could have and should have stayed there. Like there's no question about that. You and I basically agree that it's marginally good that she's saying the things that she's saying.
Yes.
And the thing that I was responding to was AOC saying that MTG didn't have credibility on this issue.
She doesn't. I mean, she doesn't. But who cares?
She said it, so I responded to it. Like, right. You can not care. Apparently, a lot of people care. Days later, we're talking about it.
Yes. But I care more about the idea that she somehow sacrificed and that she
The other part that frustrated me in those comments was she said, when there are issues where there's bipartisan establishment support for something, then in those cases, and she said, like, for instance, banning stock trading. In those instances, I think it's appropriate to work with people we disagree with on other issues. So it's okay to do that for stock trading. What issue has stronger bipartisan establishment support than unapologetic support for Israel? So it's okay to do it for stock trading, but stopping a genocide? Well, you can't go there?
Well, wait a second. What is Marjorie Taylor what are they going to do together? She's out of Congress. She left Congress. She might as well be.
If Marjorie Taylor Greene was still in Congress and was a warrior for this cause, then it's a Thomas Massey situation. Totally on board. But she's not. She got no motion. I don't know if she has the capacity to muster up the forces of conservatism is what I mean. So there's no reason to welcome someone into the fold beyond treating them, I guess, like an influencer who happens to be insane on every other issue, but on this one issue, it's fine.
Just some gadfly. Alex Jones, I'm sure has agreed with something at one point. Should AOC, a congressperson, join with Alex Jones?
That's a fair point too. He brought up MTG.
The same people that want to kill Plattner now hate AOC for having dislike towards Marjorie Taylor Greene. I find it really strange. People's politics seemingly are all over the place. and they argue that my politics are all over the place. People will be like, no, I'm consistent on this. Like Marjorie Taylor Greene is a far better human being than Graham Plattner is. And Tucker Carlson is also far better than Graham Plattner is. Like they like Tucker Carlson. They like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They hate Graham Plattner and they hate AOC. I don't know. I feel like a lot of this resentment comes from like what you see and your hatred towards liberalism. And I duke it out with liberals far more than many of these people do because many of these people are just online, right? Like to say Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a more valuable asset in the anti-Israel cause comes across as transparently nutty to someone like myself. I don't know. I'm just not seeing what you guys are seeing if you feel that way, right?
Gee, like, why? Like, why? Like, what's the point of bringing her up to like sideline her? Like, if she's,
I
if there's
mean,
nothing to work with her on,
I think in that context, she should not be paying attention to, a former congressperson. But I imagine that's probably driven by like her personal animosity.
Right.
And,
which again, I get like.
But I think the question was like, in what circumstances do you make a transpartisan thing? And I think like there is. I mean, let me put it this way: do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you know their voting records, it's not even a question, right? Like it's just not.
Just broadening out from it. Do you think there are circumstances where there are people that it does not make sense to do? Like, go with God, Tucker Carlson. I'm glad that you are. But I also know I also know there was back in the early days of MSNBC, way back, when Pat Buchanan would fill in for Tucker on his show. Pat Buchanan would have me on because he knew I was the only Jew he could get that would criticize Israel. And I felt dirty as shit. But it was not like I had an audience that I was delivering to Pat Buchanan. I mean, that's also the question. I mean, this is the same question that like when Sirota asked Plattner about going on Tucker Carlson's show, and his assessment I thought was pretty, or his assessment of the calculation is pretty important. Like, who's helping who in this situation? Like, are we helping? Are we really expanding who is hearing an anti-genocide message when we welcome Marjorie Taylor Greene into our home to?
Do you stand with Team Drop Turk or Team Majority Bituation?
Talk about it, or are we basically whitewashing Marjorie Taylor Greene, who still has a bunch of other odious policy sets, and also someone who like she gave up her material power?
I think because of the way that different media environments are structured, that you're much more likely to persuade some people in her base of your position than you are going to accidentally get a bunch of Majority Report viewers to all of a sudden start hearing MTG's other ideas and be like, oh, well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about the way weather can be controlled. Like, I don't think that, I think that they're mostly immune because it's a much more kind of open and they've gotten the vaccine. Whereas like, I think a lot of people in the right-wing media spaces are open to left-wing populist ideas. And if they start hearing them, can move over.
Let me give you a real-world example. MS Now, which made the pivot to having a lot of never Republicans on, never Trump on.
Right, but they're not serving anything up. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can tell you that. I mean, this is just an example, and it may not. When Trump in the first term bombed Syria, every single person on that network, and I know this because I was coincidentally supposed to be on to talk about something else, was advocating him bombing Syria and saying it shows that he's serious. And the reason is because they're all former Republicans or supposedly former Republicans. And, anybody looking at Bill Kristol now, they don't remember, or George W. Bush or whatnot. Like, there is something to be said about holding people's, real record. The overwhelming part of her record was, incidentally, in support of Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene's. And yes, she did have a brief moment, at least in terms of her career as a congressperson, which she cut short, where she had a change of mind after every other avenue for her political ambition was shut down. But if she comes back into politics, I don't know that it works the way that you're talking about. I don't know that people are traveling with her. Her audience is traveling to the Majority Report when she's on the Majority Report, let's say.
You nervous that she's going to snow your audience? I don't think so. I got more faith in your audience than you do.
No, I'm not saying that, but I also don't think that like what is she going to do for my audience? Like, is she going to provide them more nuance on the genocide?
But the idea would be that then you would get access to her audience.
How would I do that?
Persuade them. I don't know, like there's podcasts in that network that you can go on. I'll hook you up with Tucker.
I'll go on to her podcast.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
but that's different.
It's a two-way street in that sense. But in any event, I thought this was supposed to end at 1. I think I thoroughly demolished.
I was just going to say, I think we can agree. We can agree on the fact that I demolished you, all caps, on this.
Well, you get to write the YouTube headline. So
that's right. Just proves my point. I'm sure the folks at Dropsite won't be snowed by that.
Well, I'm sure they will be.
I fucking hate MTG, but last time I checked, MTG never ran cover for Gaza genocide like AOC did. Yes, she did. What are you talking about? This is what I mean. AOC has been infinitely better on the issue since Biden left office, but we can't just forget her record during the Biden admin and during Biden and Harris's respective 2024 campaigns. See, this is precisely what I'm talking about. You're just objectively wrong. I don't know how you've got this so wrong, but when Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling AOC Hamas, AOC was on the floor of Congress calling what Israel was doing a genocide. The Hamas caucus led by Rashida Tlaib, AOC, and Ilhan Omar treat Hamas terrorists better than J6 prisoners. Why is that? I hope every pro-Hamas student walks out of their classes today protesting against Israel gets a failing grade. The Jihad Squad. Biden gave Iran access to $10 billion after Hamas attacked Israel. Now Iran has launched an attack on Israel. April 13th, 2024. Hamas are worse than animals. Cutting off babies' herd is unspeakable, completely evil. Pro-Palestinian equals pro-Hamas. Terrorists attacking New York with their war on Jews and Christians. I don't know what the turning point was exactly. President Trump is right again, May 1st, 2024, and Joe Biden is going to bring Hamas in America as refugees to add to the chaos. It's just like 2020 all over again with a new cause, all funded by the insane left. We're not even talking about like transphobia, hatred of migrants, all this other stuff, right? We're just talking on this issue. If you think AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene's records and statements on this issue can be even remotely comparable, it's crazy. You just don't know. You don't know the full, like you haven't been paying a lot of attention, right? Like, I don't think those other things other perspectives are negligible either. Obviously, I'm not saying we should just like forget about her transphobia, anti-blackness, anti-migrant sentiment either, right? Yeah, she also censured Rashida Tlaib.